Hi, and welcome to the coziest corner of the internet. Today I am really excited to be talking about some of my favorite puzzle games by indie developers on Nintendo Switch. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I post a lot about different puzzle games, and mainly on the ones that are a bit more like emotional and have a really like story-driven arc to them. But essentially, I just really love puzzle games. I feel like they really help calm me down. I tend to take them with me when I'm going traveling or on like a long road trip, just because I could spend like hours in them. I also just really love a good story and pretty graphics. So you'll see that pretty much every game on this list has those kind of criteria following them. So all the games on this list today are from indie developers who are doing just amazing things in the industry. Something else that I really like about most of these games is I picked them up, I think all of them on sale. If not, just they are naturally a cheaper game. So it won't break your bank or anything to buy these games. It's one of the benefits of buying indie. So with that said, let's jump into the first game. So the first one on the list is The Gardens Between by the Vauxhall Agents. So this game follows two best friends as they explore their childhood memories through the game. So you go kind of through these weird, kind of surreal areas that have like enlarged versions of their memories, so like bikes or radios, that kind of thing. And the puzzles are quite unique. You use the world to shift around itself in a really cool way. So the more like you shift the environment, different things happen. Your characters move through it in a different way. Sometimes you have to go backwards and forwards. It's really interesting, and it's probably the first of its kind that I've ever played. It's also just like clearly a very emotional story. I actually haven't finished this one yet, so I don't know how it ends, but so far I can tell that there's like a lot of emotion behind the objects that are present. Even the way that the characters interact, you don't obviously control either of those characters, but you can kind of see the way that they look at each other or talk to each other throughout in a very subtle and interesting way. I think my favorite part of this game is that the gameplay continues to evolve as you play it. They'll introduce new ways of interacting with the puzzles, new challenges, and new ways of thinking. But honestly, like most of the games on this list, the graphics are just next level. They're beautiful. It really feels like you're stepping into a painting. They're just honestly very, very gorgeous. Overall, I think you should get this game if you enjoy challenging puzzles with a unique take and an emotional storyline. Okay, so the second one is Down in Bermuda. So this game is created by Yak & Co., who you'll see another game by later in the list. The story follows a pilot who has crash landed in Bermuda, where he is overcome with creatures and weird little puzzles that he has to solve in order to escape the island. So I really like this game because it feels very expansive. It's very, very short compared to the other games on this list, but it still really packs a punch in terms of feeling like a very big world. You kind of go from island to island and they change significantly, solving puzzles, cracking codes, and kind of living the magic of Bermuda. It's a really interesting game, and there continues to kind of be peppered in a storyline next to it that you're not totally clear what it is yet. I just find it really interesting and kind of just adorable in the way that it's presented to you. I don't want to give anything away on the story, but trust me, it's another one of those ones that packs an emotional punch. I also, again, love the art style of this game. It's very simple, but gorgeous, and it really does, I think, mimic the magic of somewhere like Bermuda in a really interesting way. Overall, this game is definitely worth the price. I know it's a short one, but it's a cheaper game, so I highly recommend picking it up if you want just a kind of a quick game, maybe for a road trip or some traveling, or if you just want to kind of dive into a nice, beautiful story. The next game on the list is The Last Campfire by Hello Games. So this game kind of reminds me in a weird way of Spiritfarer. You are a what they call Ember, but which I suppose is kind of a spirit, who's traveling through this world searching a way out and a way home. Along his way, he meets other Embers who he needs to kind of save. So I'm assuming it's kind of like Spiritfarer. They never explicitly say this, but it kind of feels like you're on a mission to help spirits in the underworld. You pretty much have to save them through puzzles. So these puzzles are really interesting and unique. Again, it's another one of those ones where they've thought outside of the box. There's some really unique characters along the way. That there's one mid-game that I really, really love, and I put a lot of screen grabs on Instagram for. But generally, the game is just really interactive and interesting and continues to kind of keep you hooked until the very end. The art style for this one, again, very unique, very gorgeous. It really hooks you into believing that this is where spirits live. and it's just so expansive. Like, you can walk around endlessly and search new areas, do new little tiny side quest puzzles. It's just a very expansive game. Overall, I think you should pick up this game if you like an emotional storyline, if you're kind of into the Spiritfarer, spooky spirit stuff. This will be a good one for you, but also if you just like your puzzle games to come with kind of a more larger world to explore. Okay, so the next game is Agent A, A Puzzle in Disguise. This is by Yak & Co as well, so the same developers as down in Bermuda. It's a really interesting game. I have never played a like spy mission type game. It's definitely different for me. I picked it up on sale, I think for like £2 or something, so it was really, really cheap, so I decided to pick it up, and I am so glad I did. I would love for them to do a sequel to this game or another one in the same style, because I'm just kind of obsessed with the way that they've done it, and I haven't found another game as good. Essentially, you are a agent who is trying to unfoil the plans of one Ruby LaRouge. You are exploring her secret hideout, pretty much trying to put a stop to her evil plans and find out where she's gone and what she's done. It's really interesting. You're pretty much just going through the rooms. It's very point and click, trying to find new clues and interact with the hideout in a new way. Again, it's very different to the rest of the puzzle games on this list, but I would definitely say it's been one of my favorite all-time games on the Nintendo Switch, so I highly recommend you pick it up if you can. In terms of art style, again, it's another gorgeous one, very similar to the art style in Down in Bermuda, obviously. It does kind of feel like you're stepping into a painting, which is really interesting. I also really like the narration. It's very quirky and funny, and it's just a really fun, uplifting game in a weird way. If you like this kind of style, if you like the kind of spy type games, you're definitely going to want to pick this one up. Okay, so the last one on the list today is Solo Islands of the Heart by Team Gotham. This is a very, very unique game. It follows the theme of love and lets players be introspective about their own experiences with love, whether or not they're in a relationship or currently single. So the game will actually ask you what your relationship status is at the beginning of the game, and it will change the way that the game interacts with you because of that. So essentially it has like a secondary character if you're in a relationship that you're answering questions about, that you'll see kind of sits on the sidelines sometimes. It's very, very interesting. It's very hard to explain without experiencing it yourself, but it's a very, very interesting game. I'm currently in a relationship, so I've never played the single version of it, but I'm assuming it just changes the way that they talk to you throughout and what questions that they ask. The puzzles themselves are kind of varied and different throughout, but you have kind of a core set of actions that you use. Some of them, to be honest, were very frustrating, so if you like puzzles that are a bit harder, this is definitely a good game for you. I kind of rage quit a few times from puzzles I just could not figure out at all. But generally it's really fun, and I find the puzzles are very engaging and challenging. There's also lots of interesting characters throughout that are fun to kind of experience and talk to. There are a few where you get to play a guitar, which I find really soothing. It reminds me a lot of Night in the Woods in a really cool way. But there's just lots of different things you can do. You can change the color of the world. They add little bits throughout that are really, really interesting. The art style, I would say, is not the strongest of this list today, but it's still very, very beautiful and cute in an interesting way. Again, I think the strength of this game comes from the narrator, the questions that they ask you to reflect on about love, and the puzzles themselves being quite challenging. So I think you should pick up this game if you have an attachment to conversations about this kind of thing. If you like a deep and reflective kind of game, this will be a great one for you. Also, if you just really like puzzle games in general, this will be another challenging puzzler. So those are my 5 favorite puzzle games on Switch, all by beautiful indie developers that I think you guys should check out. In general, I just find puzzle games so engaging, and they're really just my favorite kind of game to play, especially on Switch where you can kind of cozy up on the couch and play handheld. I will say that 4 out of 5 of these games are also available on PC. Solo Islands of the Heart is the only one that's not, but you can get it on PS4 or Xbox. If you do like hearing about the kinds of games that I enjoy, if you want to hear more about my game reviews, I post lots and lots of game reviews over on Instagram at CozyGamerCat. I also stream 2 days a week over on twitch.tv/CozyGamerCat. If you did like the video, please do like, subscribe, set that notification so you can hear when I have more content. Please do let me know in the comments, what is your favorite puzzle game on Switch? And have you played any of the ones on this list? Thanks so much, everybody, and I hope you have the coziest day. Bye bye!